We've all heard the cliche that everything happens for a reason. I used to roll my eyes when my parents would say this to me, when my dog passed away or my boyfriend broke up with me. It just never seemed to make sense. It wasn't until later that I would see everything fall into place. My name is Martinez-Tamez. Some people shorten it to just Martinez, but you have to remember the Tamez part because my mom likes to take credit for me. I'm a retired beach volleyball player, aspiring registered dietitian, and theme park enthusiast. The first 18 years of my life revolved completely around sports. Like any other 4-year-old, I started with soccer, but I would spend a lot more time picking flowers than actually kicking the ball, so we continued to experiment. We tried gymnastics and ballet, but what really seemed to stick was basketball and volleyball. I learned a lot of lessons through these two sports, one of them being time management. I had to be able to balance all my practices with each other, and I had to learn how to arrive early. My coaches would always say that early is on time and on time is late, and if we were late then we would have to run sprints, and we didn't want that. I also had to learn a lot about communication. Believe it or not, it's not always that easy to get 12 teenage girls on one competitive team to get along, so we had to use our words to work towards our common goal. It also gave me a strong work ethic. Because of these sports, I had to practice outside of my team practices to make sure that I was one of the best. My participation in sports is what sparked my initial interest in nutrition, and that's what led me to Baylor University. I was studying Baylor in Waco, and that's where I found so many people through my classes, my sports, and my volunteer organizations. Baylor's a tough school academically though, but since I've gotten through all those science courses, I feel like I can get through anything in life now. That's also where I realized that I want to become a pediatric dietitian. To do this, I have to first complete a dietetic internship after I graduate, and then I also want to pursue a master's in nutrition sciences. I originally wanted to be a sports dietitian, but then I found out that I had a really strong passion for working with kids. And the way I figured that out is actually very unexpected. I found my calling in the medical field through working at Disney. Halfway through my junior year of college, I decided to attend a Disney audition. I had never been an actress or a dancer or any of that, but it's just something that I really wanted to do, and so I put everything I had into it. Luckily, I got the job, and for the next year, I was working as a full-time cast member, and I really got to see why they call it the happiest place on earth. I got to do meet and greets and talk to kids all day about magic carpets and Mickey Mouse and sword fighting. I even had some grown adults crying on my shoulders, happy tears of course. But the most memorable moments that I had at Disney was the times that I spent working with the sick and disabled children. These moments were very magical for me because as much as these kids were suffering, it never seemed fair because they were so vulnerable and innocent, but I always had a superpower, and that was the power to put a smile on their face. No matter how they were feeling, when I was there, I was able to make them laugh and play fun games with them, and it was something that touched me very strongly. I want to be able to do this forever, even if it's not in that exact setting at Walt Disney World. Someday, when I'm a pediatric dietitian, I'll do my best to make sure kids feel healthy and that they can smile and have fun while they're in the hospital. So all these experiences are very different, but they're all somehow connected. See, sports gave me my basic values of hard work and determination, and that's what gave me the ability to study at Baylor University, and then being at Baylor, making all the connections that I made eventually led me to working at Disney. And that's where I found out what I want to do for the rest of my life. So sometimes I think of how different everything would be if I just made one different decision. Like maybe if I hadn't been playing basketball and volleyball, I wouldn't have gotten interested in nutrition, and then if I didn't like nutrition, I probably wouldn't have gone to Baylor, would have studied something else at a different school. And who knows, if I didn't go to Baylor, I probably wouldn't have ended up at Disney. It's strange to see how each little decision in my life drastically impacted my path and led me to where I am now. Although I'm convinced that there's no coincidence in this. I think that everything that's ever happened in my life and everything that will happen is for a very specific reason that I will someday understand.